Good afternoon. This is Cool K and Countyfairgrounds out of Denver. Do I have Just for Laughs on the line with me?
Just for Laughs Incorporated, Wesley-Newman, owner and proprietor.
Hi, Mr. Newman. How you doing today?
Fantabulous, because it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Hey, how long have you been Just for Laughs?
I started after being shanghaied into the industry in September of 1993. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So are you a married man?
I am not. I am happily divorced.
It's just the reason I'm asking is because I saw a woman working with you on your website. That's why I asked.
I've actually had multiple. Before COVID, we had 8 entertainers working pretty much full time. One was an ex-wife. One was a ex-girlfriend. So you may have seen my ex-wife because she is the only one still working with me doing the county fairs.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh,
I've worked with my ex-wife, and we have a great time. We are still really good friends.
Okay. So do you have kids? I'm curious.
I have 2 adult children. Neither one want anything to do with the industry.
Why?
Well, my son is an owner-operator. He owns his own semi-truck and works in the dirt field hauling aggregate for a asphalt company. And my daughter is what's the technical term? She works with children in a school system that have behavioral issues or special needs.
Okay.
But she's not a teacher,
okay.
So I don't know.
So what do they think?
I make balloon animals. I don't know the whole schooling part of it. I know she's got a master's, so pretty proud of that. So what do they think of your profession? They grew up with it. To them, it's no big deal. I really leaned in the business side of my profession, so my son knows most of his business and is, running his business because he's seen Dad do it. He knows about, budgeting. He knows about ordering. He knows about, making invoices. All of the things that he took away from it was the business side of it and to run a decent business. Okay, so you work only in a certain number of states? I can go almost anywhere. I'm limited to how far I can drive in a day. When you do county fairs, you usually have a 4 or 5 day run. You get 1 day to reset and travel, and then you got to set up for the next fair. Right. Okay. I do 7 or 8 fairs back to back. So I'm born and raised in central Minnesota, so most of our fairs are in Minnesota. I can and I have done a few things in the Dakotas, Iowa, Wisconsin. I have taught classes in South Bend, Illinois, or Indiana for the Spring Fling with the Clown Forum. Mm-hmm. I was a regional director for Clowns of America International. So I've done work with their national convention in Kansas City. World Clown Association was in St. Paul. I worked there some. I worked with a couple of circuses that went through Minnesota. I was part of the Shriners Circus for a couple of years. I've trained with retired Ringling Brothers clowns. Priscilla Moosberger does a clown camp that is absolutely excellent for new entertainers or entertainers that just need that refresh. She's actually 2 years with Ringling, 2 years with Disney, and she's the one that gave me my very first face. So. Okay. So, how did you get started in this? That's the next question. I got shanghaied by a family friend and did not know what I was getting into. Growing up, I grew up in a small town, and one of the friends of my family, he was part of the JCs, and we did a lot of, I was a kid that just wanted to do stuff, so I worked with the JCs on a number of their bike-a-thons and stuff, and as I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, Jerry came up to the house and he goes, "Hey, Wes, I want to go do this thing, but I don't want to go alone. Are you available?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." No idea what I was getting into. I went to this meeting. It was in a church. Started talking to these people. They all seemed really fun and down to earth and great people to talk to. And then one of the guys dropped the hammer and said, "Let's get this clown meeting started." And I looked at Jerry and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." I had no interest in becoming a clown. my idea out of high school was to join the military, get a military police degree, then go into law enforcement after, getting a pension from the military. On the way home, Jerry's like, tell you what, if you give it a try and you don't like it, no harm, no foul. But if you don't even give it a try, if you don't even try, I'm going to hound you forever. So he strong-armed me in giving it a try. I think I got a picture on my Facebook or on the website that shows my very first attempt. These clowns put me in a makeup and a wig and bad clothes, and I went to the Children's Hospital, and when I knocked on the door of this child and asked permission to come in to entertain for this child, I saw this spark in their eye, this joy, this merriment, this childlike magic spark in the eyeball, and I've been addicted to that look ever since. So I got done there. My mom was a seamstress, and she worked for this company that made clown costumes internationally. And I walked in, and I looked at Trish, her boss. I'm like, make me a clown. And it was so like, this was before Mrs. Doubtfire, but when Robin Williams goes up and tells his brother, make me a woman, that's the whole feeling I got from that. Make me a clown. And she sat me down. She gave me a face. She worked with my mother to get me a costume. And on October 29th, 1993, I did my very first solo performance as a clown. And that is my clown birth date.
Ah, so you got hooked.
Like I said, I am addicted to that spark of childlike magic in the eyes of a child.
Okay.
And I find that across all children entertainers, all platforms, is that spark of magic, that childlike magic, is what most of us are actually looking for.
Okay. All right. So somewhere along the line, though, you got to do bigger things. How did that happen?
Well, when my first wife and I got married, she wanted to do more child work in the churches, so I started working on like a VBS type program. Did a couple of those. Her and I didn't work out so well, and after her and I split, I realized I had this drive to put a show together or to do things for larger people. I met another young lady that was a excellent body painter, and she started doing clown work with me as a face painter. Her and I decided that we wanted to do county fairs. Took us a couple of years to put it together. In 2019, I went to the Minnesota County Fair Convention. In January, did like all of the county fairs go to this one event. Mm-hmm. Usually it's either late fall or early spring.
Right.
Minnesota and Wisconsin are both in January. So I went to this, and I got my foot in the door. In 2020, we actually booked 5 fairs that couldn't go because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So in 2021, I just rolled all those fairs over, and we performed that in 2021, and it's just been growing since.
I'm looking at your websites, and one of the things that I see here is themed wedding events. Would you explain that?
That's a totally different avenue. When I was relatively new in it, a couple of my friends, it was their second wedding, and they wanted to get married as clowns, because that was what they did. They did clowns. But they could not find a pastor, a priest, a minister. They could not find an officiant that would costume up with them.
Okay.
So they had to get married silently in the back room, and then they did the wedding for the public, but the officiator still would not even put on a rubber nose. So I went out, I got myself ordained. I can do costumed weddings. I don't have a problem wearing a costume. My only concession is if you want a pirate wedding, I need to be the pirate captain, because the captain has the rights in maritime history to perform the ceremony. In the circus, the ringmaster was given the rights to officiate a ceremony. So whatever whatever theme you want for the wedding, I need to look into it enough to find out what part of that theme would the officiant be. Medieval wedding, it would either be the king or a friar or a bishop, of that nature. So it takes a little bit more work, but I really get into the themes part of it, so I find it as exciting as the bride and groom would.
Okay, so how many fairs do you say that you do a year, approximately?
Between 6 and 7. I'd like to do more, but with the weather in, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, North and South Dakota, we only have a very short window. So it's usually June, July, August. Well, June is still relatively early for most fairs, so we don't do a lot. Pretty much all of July, all of August, we're on the run.
Okay. So is there anything that has made you rethink this, that maybe you don't want to do it?
No. I've rethought it where, how can I do more? Like 2 weeks ago, I was at a Santa Claus training class by Lee Andrews, and I'm now going whole hog on the Santa Claus and the holiday spirit. I'm working with a local haunt facility. I want to do a child-friendly haunted exhibit or a Halloween exhibit, kind of like a Hotel Transylvania or a Casper the Friendly Ghost from my childhood. Halloween friendly, but still that Halloween theme where I can do more entertaining. I can get that magic, that spark more.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to also ask, have you had any bad experiences?
I have had experiences where I've had to be very creative on dealing with or getting out of. I've had a lot of negative experiences on the business side of things where I did an $800 show that I got stiffed because they didn't make enough on the fundraiser. I've got things like that, but every time I do, it's always shortly afterwards I see a child light up when they see a new balloon animal or they see a magic trick, and that just wipes all that bad away.
Okay, so when you do a county fair, do you bring all your own stuff?
I like to be as self-reliant as possible. The only thing that I ask from the fair board is a hookup for our camper relatively close to our spot, because after 10 hours a day in clown shoes, it's a little bit harder to walk. And we ask for some form of seating, be it a small bleachers or some benches, because parents that want to sit and watch a magic show, kids don't have a problem sitting on the ground, but I need something that the parents can sit down and enjoy the show as well. And it kind of says where the show is going to be. But when we do our county fairs, our first show is 11 o'clock in the morning, and then we have a show somewhere in the afternoon, depending on what other entertainment the fair has. But in between the shows, we don't disappear in our camper. We actually stay out. We have a giant Jenga game that my son has 3D printed for me. I've got a giant Connect 4 game. We have giant checkers. We got giant Yahtzee. We've got arts and crafts that we sit down with the kids and can do. And I am there that I can teach magic, teach balloons. If anybody's interested in clown or any of the stuff that we do, I have no problem educating as well as entertaining.
Okay, so when you go to a show, how many people do you usually bring with you that work with you?
Me, myself, and I. No, usually it's two of us. The last couple of years has been me and my ex-wife. I've got one gal in training right now that she wants to do fairs with us, but I'm not sure if she's ready yet for this season. We'll see when we do our training in May. Okay,
and you do parties too?
I do birthday parties. I do corporate events. There's only been 2 shows I've ever turned down.
Okay. So is there any place specifically that you would like to perform that you have not had the opportunity?
I can't think of one that would be on the top of my, I got to do this. There are people that I'd like to meet. I know that the fair community, the southern states, have a lot longer season, and I'd like to do some of that. I'd like to travel to see, Sarasota, which is the headquarters of almost every circus in the United States. I've been to the historical home of Ringling Brothers. That is a great place to go check out over in Baraboo, Wisconsin. But I can't think of anywhere that I would say I want to perform here, because I perform for the inner child in everybody. I'm not looking at, I want to perform for the Queen of England or the King of England. I don't really need to perform for the president. I perform for the people that need that uplifting, like right now.
Hey, Joe Biden probably would love you.
I'm not gonna.
No. Okay.
Like I said, not very political, so I really don't. I don't have any dreams of even seeing the White House. I want to go see like the Battle of Little Bighorn. I'm more of a history buff personally, but that also leads into or led into me looking at the history of the circus. You know, when I had kids on, I taught them. You know, alez is the French word that brought all the clowns out when there was a problem. So if I wanted to get all the kids in one spot, I just yelled out alez, and all the kids that I was working with would come over to where I was. So it wasn't hard to get them organized. If you've ever worked with a lot of little children, you realize it's like herding cats.
Yeah. Hey, you don't have any grandkids, do you?
I have 2, and a third one on the way.
Yeah.
I was also a school bus driver for 25 years, so everybody was my child at one point. My one grandchild, he's 8. He knows that I'm a clown, but it doesn't. He's autistic, so it doesn't really click that it's anything different. My other grandchild, he is 2, so he really doesn't understand it, or I don't think he's even seen me in costume yet. And the third one won't be here till August, and that's a little girl. So I'll finally get a granddaughter.
Oh, well, you have some interesting experiences coming up, my friend, I think.
And again, I take everything, just like a duck on a pond.
Okay. All right. Well, how do people reach you if they want to book you?
You can go to my website, which is justforlaughs.org, which is spelled JUST, the number 4, LAFFS.org. Or you can look us up on Facebook, and I think on Facebook it's got my cell phone, my email, all of the above. So Just for Laughs on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I've had an interesting time talking to you. I always love to talk to these entertainers to see how you guys got into this. It's very interesting. Thank you very much.
And there's so many stories that I could spend hours and hours. So if anybody wants to reach out and talk circus or talk clown, I'm always available, and I love to teach new people and get that drive to, share your enjoyment with everybody.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed talking to you. Bye-bye.
It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.